the child is actually fighting against themselves. They're trying to figure out their place in the world. They're figuring out who is my friend, who is not. And on top of all this, there is sex hormones.
The parents project their curiosity and how they want their child to think onto the child, where they're constantly projecting.
I would say every brain learns to explore the world in its own way. If a parent believes in something, sharing that belief system with their child is not wrong. What we do need to understand though is that
Teen troubles, right? Like we were talking about this before. What happens between the ages of 11 to 16 where they're in a stage of rebellion, and as parents we find it really hard to just get through? What's changing there?
so this is the adolescent brain. So there is a child brain, so say till 10 years of age, and then 10 to, you could say 18 or
Yeah.
even 25
Yeah.
is the adolescent brain. The brain is changing, and the change mainly happens in the prefrontal cortex. That is when the prefrontal cortex is learning to control the limbic system. Before that, the limbic system is pretty much in charge. Around the adolescent age, the prefrontal cortex is developing and it is trying to control it. It is trying to be logical, but at the same time, the way I see it, the way the narrative plays out in my head is the limbic is resisting. So there is ego, there is demand for control, and most people will feel that the fight is against the world. You know that you have to fight, but most kids will feel like the fight is against my parents. The fight
Yeah.
is against
Yeah.
the outside world. And we all know that once we are 30, you realize that, oh, the fight was never with the world, the fight was with myself.
Yeah.
That is when the prefrontal cortex really matures and understands that all the fight that I was doing outside was actually just to gain control over myself. This is the journey that every brain goes through, because that sense of fighting with oneself does not exist
Right.
in the adolescent brain, because it's not mature enough to understand that meta concept. So a 10-year-old will look at the world from a single brain. So when a child is acting out, when a child is resisting, the parent should look at the child and understand that, okay, this is the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex is not developed yet, it will take its time. So what are the things that I can do to help the limbic system calm down and help the prefrontal cortex mature faster? So these are two separate action items. If you look at it from that framework, I believe it gives you a better sense of what is happening. Instead of looking at the child as just one
Yeah.
brain
Yeah.
acting out, that's not the case. The child is actually fighting against themselves. They're trying to figure out their place in the world. They're trying to figure out what does having an identity mean. They're figuring out who is my friend, who is not. Their loyalties are changing. And on top of all this, there is sex hormones
Yeah.
at that age, right? So that whole network is kicking in. So there's a lot of conflict going on within themselves. So everything that is coming out is a result of that conflict.
The parents project their curiosity and how they want their child to think onto the child.
Yeah.
And I see so much of that happening with parents where they're constantly projecting
Yeah.
to their children. Like if they want, and I when I meet so many parents, and I've met so many across 10 years of working with them, that I always project my inefficiencies as a parent onto my child. So if I am not a great public speaker, I will make sure that my child goes to a dramatics class or an elocutions class. Arey, tum isme select kyun nahi hue? You're always projecting, overcompensating, coming from deficit mindset.
Yeah.
How would you want parents to come out of that?
So we would obviously see reality in a particular way because of our life experiences, right? There's nothing wrong in that.
Yeah.
So a parent who has grown up reading books, and if that has helped them, they would be convinced that if the child doesn't read books, then it's a mistake.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true, but the parent would be convinced of that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, suppose if they had not read books and they felt like that was something missing in their lives, they would also overcompensate there, that, oh, I missed out on this, therefore my child should not. Both of these come from a place of the parent overcorrecting something for themselves.
Right.
Right? It's not necessarily quote unquote good for the kid. It is the parent trying to solve something in their own head. I don't see anything wrong in this, honestly. Because
You have no idea what a child is going through, Sid, do you?
I'll tell you why. Every child I would say every brain learns to explore the world in its own way,
Right.
right? And if a parent believes in something, them sharing that belief system with their child is not wrong. I truly believe that that is what parenting is. What we do need to understand though is that your brain is not your child's brain.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing. And so if a child is figuring out other ways of exploration, the parent can calm themselves down into realizing that there are other ways of getting there. The way that you went through is not the only way.
So long as the parent understands that.
Yes. Yes.
But kahin pe your belief system is merging with that's how it's got to be done versus saying belief system plus curiosity should be the ideal
Yes.
scenario. But that does not happen.
My way is the only way. That is a problem.
Yeah.
But telling the child that this was my way and it worked or it didn't work, very valuable.
Interesting.
If they don't do that, then I believe that is a disservice. So the parent should share their experience. They should give the child whatever starting advantage they can. But believing that this is the only way is
Got
a
it.
fallacy.
When we're talking of the dopamine effect, we're also talking of validation, right?
Yeah.
First, that validation was coming from immediate. Now it's coming from external. And today, children are obviously struggling with a whole bunch of anxiety and feeding off dopamine of someone else. But how are we? How are we going to shield our children from this sort of chaos that's actually going on in the brain?
Yeah.
Which is saying, I want to lead this is inaccessible, how do I get there? And we've seen freak cases of parents doing crazy things, children doing crazy things to achieve the inaccessible.
Yeah. So again, the reason that it developed is very logical.
Yeah.
Earlier, we were growing up in a village, okay, and in a small tribe of
Yeah.
50, 100 people.
Yeah.
Now, in order to get social validation, which is the people in your tribe telling you that you are amazing, you did something great, is a lot of effort. You have to actually go and do something pretty incredible or pretty useful to society, and then they would validate you.
Yeah.
And when they validate you, you get a sense of safety, which means now they're not going to kick me out of the tribe.
Yeah.
You also get a sense of power, which is now when I say things, people will do things. Both of these are very valuable for survival.
Yeah.
And so the reason that somebody telling you good job is valuable is because of this. So there is a dopamine spike that comes when somebody
Validates.
likes you.
Yeah.
Now that like is putting up a photo on Instagram. You put up any photo, just put a selfie, and at least one person would like it. Two
Correct.
people will like it. 100, if you have a lot of followers, 1,000.
Yeah.
Each like is a good job,
Yeah.
right? So you want that because again, our brain is still living in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
Our limbic system is still living in the jungle. So our limbic system still thinks that, oh, this person is in my tribe, and now they have validated me. Now they are not going to kick me out. Now, because the effort and the reaction is so immediate and the effort is so minimum that now our brain can't calculate that this reaction is not worth that much.
Yeah.
It's not worth that effort. And so we chase that immediate thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that validation is wrong, right? Every child, every parent, in fact, should know that validation is great,
Yeah.
but earned validation
Right.
over a period of time. So after, say for example, I'll use my own example, which is after I've done my, when I cleared my MD medicine or I cleared my DM neurology, when somebody wishes me and congratulates me, I feel like I've absolutely deserved it, right? I worked for it, I slogged for it, I got it, and you should congratulate me. And that happiness feels earned.
Yeah.
But just putting up a post, somebody liking me, I should know that those things are not the same,
Yeah.
right? You have to give weightage to it. The problem happens when you can't give the right weightage and you
Yeah.
think that both of these are equally good, then you would end up making mistakes.
Got it.
So long term versus short term. It's again, everything is about long term versus short.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kidsstoppress now.